Help, help! Somebody help! Some crimes happen in seconds. Others unfold across hundreds of miles. They involve abductions. They involve people screaming for help. And survival depended on how quickly someone noticed and acted. These are not mysteries from decades ago. These are modern crimes recorded, tracked, and stopped in real time. This is what happens when danger shows up in plain sight. The balcony hostage.
Quiet spring mornings across coastal Queensland. Warm air drifted between concrete towers. Commuters prepared for routine schedules. Nothing suggested crisis until gravity intervened. From the upper level of a residential complex, an electric scooter crashed downward, shattering against pavement. Debris scattered. Residents froze. A second object followed, smaller, metallic, spinning wildly before impact. Phones appeared. Emergency calls followed. Responding officers expected property damage, intoxication, perhaps a disturbance complaint. Instead, arriving units encountered something far more volatile. On a high balcony, 23-year-old Tyrone Kuwaiti Sampson paced erratically. His movements lacked rhythm, his speech fragmented, spiraling between rage and confusion. Inside the apartment, partially obscured behind a sliding door, stood an elderly woman. Her posture remained stiff. Hands trembled, eyes fixed forward. She was not free. Police body camera footage later revealed the scale of uncertainty. Officers shouted instructions upward, voices overlapping, each syllable competing against traffic noise, echoing concrete, and Sampson's incoherent monologue. He ignored requests. He gestured wildly. He laughed, then screamed. Negotiators attempted de-escalation. Calm tones replaced commands. Time slowed. The balcony railing became a threshold between life and irreversible loss. Witnesses below watched helplessly as Sampson leaned outward, gripping the rail, then disappearing back inside. Every movement carried implication. Officers recognized the signs of acute psychological distress, yet the immediate danger overrode diagnostic caution. The woman's life hung in the balance. Moments later, Sampson reappeared holding the scooter's broken frame. He hurled it outward with force, metal clanging against asphalt. Officers exchanged looks. The message was unmistakable. Inside the apartment, the woman remained silent. Later statements revealed she had been visiting family when the episode began. She did not provoke him. She did not resist. Survival depended on stillness. Police advanced cautiously. One team entered the building. Another maintained verbal contact. Precision mattered. Any misstep risked escalation. Suddenly, the balcony door slid open again. Sampson leaned forward, shouting nonsensical phrases. Officers raised tasers. Time compressed into seconds. When the moment came, response was immediate. Coordinated movement. A controlled rush. Sampson was restrained inside the apartment before reaching the railing again. The woman was escorted out, shaking, alive, unharmed. Silence followed. Court proceedings later revealed Sampson had no prior violent convictions. Mental health evaluations played a central role. The sentence, 10 months imprisonment on multiple charges, sparked public debate. Yet the outcome remained undeniable. No fatal fall, no obituary, no sirens trailing loss. Only a woman who walked away.
The cross-state kidnapping.
Las Vegas, New Mexico, January 31st, 2017 unfolded under desert sunlight. Suburban, quiet, masked predatory planning. A neighbor noticed movement that felt wrong. A woman struggled near driveway. A white van idled. Shouting followed. Then silence. The van departed quickly. The witness did not hesitate. Law enforcement was contacted immediately. The missing woman was identified as 28-year-old Jane Pribb. Her disappearance triggered rapid escalation across jurisdictions. Surveillance footage surfaced. License plate data followed. Cellular signals activated. Behind the abduction stood her former partner, Jack Morgan. Investigators soon learned the crime was not impulsive. Morgan had prepared meticulously. Over 12 months of planning included route mapping, restraint acquisition, concealment strategies, and psychological conditioning. His intent extended far beyond control. Jane was located inside the vehicle as it crossed state boundaries. Shackled, injured, deprived of autonomy. Trauma compounded with each mile. Interagency cooperation proved decisive. For departments, synchronized efforts. Phone pings narrowed location data. Highway patrol units positioned strategically along transit corridors. Dash camera footage later captured the climax. A traffic stop. Weapons drawn. Command shouted. Doors opened slowly. 2 suspects detained without resistance. Jane was recovered alive. Subsequent interviews revealed a chilling objective. Morgan intended to transport her to a remote cave formation, isolated from infrastructure, forcing marriage through captivity. The location had been scouted repeatedly. Supplies were staged. Medical evaluations confirmed extensive physical and psychological harm. Recovery required time, therapy, and distance from memory. Jane chose to testify. The trial concluded with a life sentence for Morgan. His accomplice received incarceration, followed by supervised release. The court cited premeditation, interstate transport, unlawful restraint, and intent to permanently deprive freedom. Jane survived, not because of chance, because a neighbor trusted instinct, because agencies collaborated, because technology tracked movement faster than obsession could outrun consequence.
The doorbell abduction.
Hillsborough. It was an ordinary evening in April 2024. A quiet residential street. Trim lawns. Parked cars. Nothing that suggested danger was seconds away. Then a doorbell camera activated. The lens captured a woman stepping outside a home near Southeast 32nd Avenue in Hillsborough, Oregon. She appeared tense, already uneasy, as if something had been building long before the recording began. Suddenly, a man entered the frame. His name was Mark Anthony Fredrickson. What happened next unfolded rapidly, but the impact lingered far longer than the footage itself. The woman screamed. Not once, not hesitantly. She screamed with urgency, pleading, panicked, desperate for intervention. Neighbors later said the sound cut through the neighborhood, sharp and unmistakable. Fredrickson grabbed her. She resisted. Her feet slid against concrete as he forced her away from the front of the house. The camera recorded her cries echoing into the street, each second passing without interruption, without help arriving in time. No weapon was visible, no disguise, just force. The footage ended with both of them leaving the camera's view. Police were contacted shortly afterward. By then, the woman was gone. The following morning, Fredrickson was located and arrested. Authorities charged him with kidnapping and harassment. The incident appeared straightforward on paper. Clear evidence, recorded audio, visible physical coercion. But then came the part that unsettled the public. He was released on bail. No detailed explanation followed. No public update clarified the victim's condition. No press conference addressed ongoing risk or safety measures. And since that moment, silence. The doorbell video remains one of the few pieces of evidence the public has seen, proof that sometimes danger doesn't arrive masked or hidden. Sometimes it walks directly into view in daylight on a quiet street. And sometimes it leaves unanswered questions behind.
The House of Horrors.
On April 23, 2024, a routine concern became something far darker. An 11-year-old boy had stopped attending school in Nevada. At first, the absence raised quiet questions. Then days passed. Then weeks. Calls went unanswered. The child, who was autistic and relied on structured support, had vanished from daily life without explanation. Eventually, the school contacted authorities and requested a welfare check. When police arrived at the home, nothing immediately looked unusual from the outside. The house stood still, curtains drawn, windows sealed, no movement, no sound. Officers knocked. That's when they heard it. A voice small, strained, and desperate coming from somewhere inside. "Let me out." The sound changed everything. Police forced entry. Inside the house, they found conditions no child should ever experience. The air was heavy. Light barely entered the rooms. Windows had been boarded shut, blocking visibility and isolating whoever was inside from the outside world. In one room, officers discovered the missing boy. He was locked inside a metal cage. He wore only a diaper. There were no toys, no bed, no learning materials. The floor and walls showed signs of long-term neglect. The space had been turned into confinement rather than care. Investigators later confirmed that the child had been denied education, medical support, and basic human dignity. His autism had not been accommodated, only punished through isolation. The discovery shifted the investigation instantly from a welfare check to a criminal case. Officers searched the rest of the house and located other children living under similar neglect. Though not confined in the same way, they were also found in unsafe conditions, cut off from normal routines and outside contact. Child Protective Services was called to the scene immediately. All children were removed from the home that same day. Medical professionals evaluated them for malnutrition, developmental delays, and trauma. The boy in the cage required specialized care not only for physical recovery, but for the psychological damage caused by prolonged isolation. Authorities arrested both parents. Court records later revealed a pattern of long-term abuse and neglect. The parents had actively prevented the boy from attending school. They avoided social services. They hid the conditions inside the house by blocking windows and limiting contact with anyone outside the family. This was not a momentary lapse. It was sustained harm. During court proceedings, prosecutors emphasized that the child's disability made him especially vulnerable and that the parents had used that vulnerability to justify control rather than provide protection. The judge did not agree with any attempt at explanation. Both parents were convicted on multiple counts of child abuse and neglect. The sentencing acknowledged not only the physical confinement, but the years of lost childhood years without learning, play, safety, or freedom. For the children removed from the home, the future remains private. Authorities have not released identifying details, protecting them from further harm and public exposure. What is known as this intervention came because someone noticed an absence. A child stopped showing up. A routine was broken, and someone chose not to ignore it. Cases like this do not always begin with screams. They often begin with silence, with empty desks, unanswered calls, and missed check-ins. This one ended differently because concern turned into action before it was too late. The house looked ordinary. The street looked quiet. But behind closed doors, a child was asking to be let out. And this time, someone heard him. If stories like these matter to you, if you believe awareness saves lives, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. More real cases, more survival stories, more truths caught on camera. Subscribe now so these stories don't go unheard.